my friends. I'm back as promised with a summer supercut. Better late than never, I suppose. But I've got my summer clips kind of roughly edited, and I've got some notes about the things that I want to talk about. And I actually feel like this format might be nice. I'm looking forward to getting into it with you. As I'm sure you can hear in my voice, I have been a little bit under the weather the last few days. It definitely feels like if I don't do this now, it'll never happen. So I'm rolling forward, even though my voice is sounding a little bit rough, and I'll probably need to take multiple breaks to blow my nose. That's okay. I'm prepared. I've got a hot cup of tea with lots of honey in it, and I'm really looking forward to showing you some snippets from my summer, starting with a trip to Salt Spring Island.
So beautiful. You are gorgeous.
We were really lucky this summer that a couple of different members of Ben's family came out to visit and camp on Salt Spring. So we got to go over and visit with them, which is such a treat because, you know, living separated from your loved ones by a big drive and then also a ferry, I feel like it really does impact the number of visits that feel realistic and feel feasible in any given year. So it's really nice that we had such a stacked summer of not just family members coming to visit here, but us going to visit other family members. I feel like we really got a ton of quality time with both of our families this summer, which is something that, you know, it doesn't always feel that way every summer. We're so lucky that both our immediate families are from the same place, like we grew up in the same town. And so it's, you know, when we go home for the holidays, we get to visit both of our families, which is just the best. I feel like from about June to mid-September, there was just a really big focus on family and visits. And it was a lot to coordinate schedule-wise. But it was really cool to get that much quality time with our families. We also made a really big effort to spend quality time together, just the two of us this summer. One of our favorite things to do when the weather is nice and when it's light out until late in the evening is going down to the beach with dinner, either picking up takeout or taking a picnic and our books or our journals or our sketch pads and just going down and having a cuddle. It's just such a nice way to spend the evening, you know, watching the waves instead of watching TV. working on a birthday gift. It's my sweet friend's birthday today. And so I'm embroidering a vintage baseball cap with her initial in pearls. And this is something that I've done for quite a few friends. It's kind of my go-to for friends' birthday gifts because it's simple and it's personal and it uses supplies that I already have. And I just always keep my eyes peeled when I'm thrifting for good vintage cotton plain baseball caps. I've got a whole stack of them. Just finished adding all the pearls, cute little bee, and I'm gonna put a little smiley face on the back as well, which is kind of my little signature that I do. I'm just gonna do a quick little smiley face right here. And that's it, little personalized birthday gift. And then my next step is to make my contribution to the potluck picnic. And then I'm off to go and celebrate my pal. It's perfect. No, yeah, absolutely. So both of our trips to Salt Spring were just day trips, popping over on a morning ferry and then coming home in the afternoon. But we did have 2 longer trips this summer. The first was just a weekend getaway, and we started just outside of Seattle for a freediving competition for Ben, which was really, really cool to see. It was his very first one, and it was awesome. And then from there, we went to stay with his aunt and uncle, who we're very close with. They have a really beautiful place right on the water on the Olympic Peninsula, and it's just always such a joy to go and hang out with them and look at all of their, decades worth of art and treasures that they've collected. And they just always make us feel so welcome, and we just love hanging out with them. We love going to visit them. And I know that I could never really capture just how special it is in, a series of 2-second clips. But I caught a few to give you an idea. Something else that was a real highlight of the summer for me was getting to reconnect with my creativity in like a photo shoot setting. For anyone who's new here, I used to work as a stylist, and I did that in film and television, and I also did it kind of within the vintage and small business scene in Vancouver for many years. And I absolutely love the work. I love clothes, and I feel like they talk to me in a way that I know that they don't for everyone. And so it's really exciting for me to get to use those skills to help brands or people kind of bring an idea or a story to life. I haven't really done much editorial or commercial work in recent years. I've been a lot more focused on personal styling and helping people with the clothes that they wear in their everyday lives, which is, really and truly where my passion is, because I feel like I'm able to really clearly connect the dots of community and style and sustainability with that work. But when the opportunity comes up to do a really fun photo shoot it just felt great to be able to say yes. My friend Kelsey, who's an incredibly talented photographer based in Vancouver, she came over for a couple of client creatives, and it was so fun to just kind of get to do that again in a way that felt really accessible. It felt very low stakes. Like, I don't keep a styling kit anymore because it's not work that I do anymore. So, you know, it felt good to just use what we had. And, you know, we did one trip to the thrift store to kind of fill just a couple of holes. It felt good to kind of have that scrappiness and that like resourcefulness that was such a big part of all of the creative work that I did kind of in my early and mid 20s. But it felt really nice to get to do these two creative shoots with friends in a way that just felt so collaborative and mellow and just really fun. The first one we did was for a ceramicist, and I'm actually here with her mug, this like gorgeous speckled mug, Natalia Jane Ceramics.
Yeah. Yeah, freaking love it. Okay.
And then the second shoot was for my sweet friend Megan's fiance, Oak, who has a brand called Oat Equipment, and he makes really amazing bags and clothes and accessories all geared at outdoor pursuits. He's just so talented, and it was so fun to style his pieces and to work with two models and just to be really creative and playful. And I was really happy with how the styling turned out, especially kind of not really having anything planned ahead of time, just like rolling up with, you know, a duffel bag full of pieces that I thought were going to be useful, and a couple of things I had found at the thrift store and what the models showed up with and the clothes that Oak has made. Like, it just felt like it all came together very organically. And we shot out at East Souk Park, and we just had an absolute blast.
Give us a Mr. Grinch.
So you just saw a few clips from my 5-year anniversary with my husband, which is so wild to say. I think it feels like we've been together forever, but it also still feels like just yesterday. I still remember the feeling of coming across his profile on a dating app and thinking like, wait, is that Ben from high school? And just how like funny that was in the moment. And it's just wild, you know, how things have unfolded. You know, one day you're scrolling on Hinge and you see your high school crush, and then 5 years later you're married and swimming at the Souk potholes together to celebrate. Life is wild. But we had such a nice day for our anniversary. We went to our favorite spot, the Souk potholes, which is actually where we went on our first date. And we swam. We had the place to ourselves for hours. We laid out in the sun. We took our books, and it was just beautiful and restful. And then we came home and we went out for a really lovely dinner at one of our favorite restaurants and went for a nice walk and just kind of took it easy. It was a really lovely, really mellow day that just felt perfect for celebrating 5 years. and I really loved my outfit, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. I bought this top specifically with the intention of wearing it to Ben's brother's wedding, which was kind of our big event of the summer. And you know me, if I'm going to buy something, I'm going to wear it. And this is a fast fashion purchase, which is something that's very, very unusual for me. I got by a Pinterest ad, which, like, listen, happens to the best of us. But I'm really happy with the top. I really like the way that it fits, and it was perfect for what I was looking for. So I knew I wanted to do separates for this wedding. I knew that I wanted to purchase something or make something that I was going to be able to use again. And so this top arrived a couple of days before our anniversary, and I loved it. So I ended up wearing it out for our anniversary dinner with just a pair of jeans and flats and the button bag that I carried for our wedding. And then for Ben's brother's wedding, I wore it again. Actually very similar styling, but I just kind of dialed it up a little bit by swapping in this crinkled silk skirt, which was an absolute dream because this was a camping wedding and it traveled super well. It was really kind of, in hindsight, the perfect piece. And I felt great at the wedding. The outfit turned out perfectly. It was super comfortable. It was a very low-key wedding in the Rockies. And it was like exactly correct for the event and for me. I felt really comfy in it. I felt like myself. And again, like, the important thing for me is making sure that pieces that I'm purchasing are going to have longevity and have multiple uses in my wardrobe. And I've already worn this top, I think, like 3 more times since the wedding in the last month. So I think that was ultimately the right choice. It's never the vision to be purchasing fast fashion, but it worked out for me in this specific case. The wedding was so much fun. We had such a great time. So we camped for 3 nights for the wedding, and then immediately following, we left for more camping. This was kind of our big trip of the summer, and we synced it up so that we could, like, we didn't have a break between the wedding weekend and then our vacation. We were already in the Kootenays, so we just stayed there. So it ended up being, I think, 6 nights of camping total. We had 3 nights for the wedding and then 3 nights at this really beautiful lake in the Similkameen Valley called Otter Lake, which was just the very best. We had such a great time. It was a really, really great campsite that we had. We had private lake access, which was something we didn't know when we booked it. It was like a really pleasant surprise. And we saw a lot of really cool wildlife. We saw a weasel. I don't have any of this on video, but we saw a weasel. We had kingfishers. We saw lots of bats. Saw tons of fish. There were loons on the lake, which was just a real treat. That's probably my very favorite sound in the world, is a loon's call. And I got to watch an osprey pluck a fish right out of the lake, just like right in front of me. It was cool. It was a really, really great spot. And I did manage to get a couple of clips, so we'll have a look at those now.
Looks so good.
I got back into the swing of hitting the farmer's market and Legree classes and styling sessions and Indyx lookbooks for clients. And we were back at the dock for morning swims. We're absolutely clinging to that routine for as long as we possibly can. Though I will admit that it has gotten pretty chilly lately.
Morning.
So that's what I got up to this summer. I feel really grateful, particularly and especially for all of the time that I got to spend with family. I think that's just something that I treasure so much. And because Ben and I do live far away from our immediate families, you know, I know that we don't get to see them as much as we would like. And so getting so much really quality family time this summer, I know it left my heart feeling very full, and I feel really grateful for that. I think I'm gonna leave the vlog there, my friends. I feel like I don't really have much else to say about summer. I would love to hear in the comments what you got up to this summer, if you feel like sharing. As always, if you ever have any specific questions, feel free to leave them in the comments for me. And I'm gonna be back soon talking fall inspiration, and I think I'm gonna try and work on a styling video for transitional dressing sometime in the next couple of weeks. Thanks so much for watching, my friends.